These days, we hear a lot of people compare Vinny to Neymar, and it makes us feel like a lot of you have forgotten how good Neymar truly was in his prime. So, we've come to remind you. This guy went from being one of the brightest youngsters in the world at Santos to becoming the most expensive player in football history. But that doesn't tell the full story. You see, back when he was in Brazil, Neymar was one of the most promising and talented players we'd seen in years. Santos spotted him when he was just 11 years old and gave him a contract. At 14, he was already being sought after by top clubs around the world. He went for tryouts at Real Madrid, and the Spanish giants were ready to sign him immediately. But Neymar's dad decided that it was better for his son to remain in Brazil and continue to develop there. Neymar would then remain at Santos, where he made his professional football debut at the age of 17 in 2009. He ended his first season with 14 goals in 48 appearances, and it didn't take this kid long to establish himself as the club's best player. Just 1 year after his debut, folks had already started to compare Neymar to Pelé, who also played for Santos. That was how good he was. And if you thought the comparisons were unfounded, wait till you find out what he did the following season. But before then, offers were already coming in for Neymar from Europe. West Ham put in a £12 million bid, while Chelsea were reportedly ready to pay £20 million for the teenager, but Santos rejected both. In 2011, Neymar led Santos to Copa Libertadores success, their first since 1963 when Pelé was still at the club. He led the team, scoring the clincher in the semis and scoring and winning the Man of the Match award in the final. Remember, he was still only a teenager. Real Madrid would try to sign him again, but they failed again. You see, 2011 was a special year for Neymar. He was already known as an unbelievable talent, but that year he announced himself to an even wider audience. First off, the Copa Libertadores victory meant that Santos featured in the FIFA Club World Cup that year, and he was able to lead them to the final against Barcelona with his goal in the semis. Of course, they lost to Barcelona, but Neymar won the bronze ball for being the third best player in the competition. Later that year, he then entered an elite league of legends, which included Maradona, Pelé, and Romario, after he was named South American Footballer of the Year, an award given to the best player playing in South America. Still only a teenager, Neymar won the 2011 edition by a record margin. And that wasn't all. He also won the FIFA Puskás Award for the best goal in world football in 2011. But perhaps the peak of it all was him finishing in the top 10 of the FIFA Ballon d'Or. First, he was still only a teenager, so it was super impressive. But what was even crazier was that he was still playing in Brazil. It was unusual for players outside Europe to even break into the top 30, much less the top 10. But here we had a kid who was sitting comfortably in the top 10. He was the only player in the top 30 that year who was playing outside of Europe. That was how good he was. But he was only going to get even better. In 2012, he beat Ronaldinho to the South American Footballer of the Year award and finished in the top 3 of the Puskás. At this point, everyone knew that his time in Brazil was up. This was one of the best players in the world, and he needed to be playing in one of the best leagues in the world. And, well, in 2013, Barcelona made that happen. The Blaugranas signed a 21-year-old Neymar for €86 million, and 56,500 fans came out for his unveiling at Camp Nou, a record for a Brazilian footballer. People said he was too lean and too flashy, and he wouldn't survive in Europe, only for him to finish his first season with 30 goal contributions in 41 games for Barcelona. After an impressive debut season at Barcelona, he led Brazil to the World Cup on home soil and was one of the best players of the tournament, up until his injury in the quarterfinals, which ruled him out for the rest of the campaign. Neymar scored 4 goals and provided an assist in 5 appearances, finishing with the World Cup bronze boot. And the first game he missed was the game where Brazil ended up getting embarrassed 7-1 by Germany. Everyone knew that would have never even happened had Neymar been on the pitch. He was that much of a difference maker. The spinal injury Neymar suffered at the World Cup very nearly paralyzed him, and people thought he would never be as good after it. But he bounced back and went on to have the season of his life. In the summer of 2014, Barcelona signed Luis Suarez from Liverpool, and together with him and Lionel Messi, Neymar formed the deadliest attacking trio in football history, MSN. Together, those three tore football apart, running riot on every team they came across. That season, Neymar helped Barcelona complete the European treble for the second time, with his 49 goal contributions in 51 appearances, one of which came in the Champions League final. He finished as the Champions League top scorer, becoming the first player not named Messi or Ronaldo to achieve that since Kaká in 2007. He also finished as Copa del Rey top scorer, La Liga Best World Player, FIFA Club World Cup top assist provider, and was named in the UEFA Team of the Year and FIFA FIFPro World 11. To top it all off, Neymar finished third at the FIFA Ballon d'Or, and that sort of stamped his status as the greatest player of his generation, and the best player in the world behind Messi and Ronaldo. But if you think that was Neymar's prime performance-wise, you're in for a shock. We'll talk about his prime shortly, but if you're enjoying the video so far, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So, in Neymar's third season in Europe, he continued to dazzle, and he became more productive than ever. He finished with 56 goal contributions in 49 appearances, and helped Barcelona win the domestic double, even scoring in the Copa del Rey final. He finished that season as the top assist provider in the Champions League. That summer, he captained Brazil to the Olympics, scoring 4 goals, providing 3 assists, and ultimately helped the Brazil men's football team win Olympic gold for the first time in their entire history. This was something the likes of Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo couldn't do. Then, in the 2016-17 season, he started to show that he could be the main man at a big club, particularly in the round of 16 second leg game against PSG. Barcelona had lost the first leg 4-0, and no club had ever come back from a 4-goal deficit in the first leg in Champions League history. But Neymar had special plans. He went into the second leg extra motivated and ended up carrying Barcelona on his back. He scored 2 late goals and assisted 2, including the clincher in the 95th minute to help Barcelona complete the comeback. It was one of the greatest performances in Champions League history. That season, Neymar finished with 46 goal contributions in 45 appearances for Barcelona, and once again he finished with the most assists in the Champions League and placed third at the Ballon d'Or. And while we were hoping to see more of that feared MSN trio, Neymar decided he was done living in Messi's shadow and decided to opt out in 2017. PSG wanted him so badly, so they broke the world record transfer fee to bring him over to France in 2017 when they paid his release clause of 222 million euros, and off Neymar went. His first season at PSG was phenomenal. He finished with 44 goal contributions in 30 appearances and helped PSG complete the domestic treble. For his performances, he was named League One Player of the Year. He was off to a brilliant start. Mind you, his presence in the League One helped elevate the status of the league and significantly increase viewership and commercial viability. At the end of that season, he went to the World Cup with Brazil, and with 4 goal contributions in 4 games, he led Brazil to the quarter-finals. But unfortunately, they were unable to get past Belgium. He returned to PSG with high hopes of conquering the world with the French Giants, but he ended up missing most of the season due to injury. He played just 28 games that campaign, but boy were those games magical. He had 36 goal contributions in the 28 appearances, but the fans were not satisfied. As far as they were concerned, Neymar was brought in to take them far in the Champions League, but he'd been unavailable in the crucial parts of the season, causing them to be knocked out in the round of 16 in back-to-back years. All this heavy criticism from the fans, as well as a claim that referees didn't protect him in the French league, led to Neymar reportedly seeking to return to Barcelona to reunite with Messi and Suarez in 2019. Both clubs had a meeting to see how this could happen, and reports say that Neymar was even ready to add 20 million euros from his pocket to the transfer fee, just so it could happen. But talks eventually broke down, and Neymar stayed. Yes, he wanted to leave, but once he decided to stay, he made up his mind to lock in. And honestly, a locked-in Neymar is seriously one of the scariest players in world football. There was heavy pressure on him from the fans following the links to Barcelona in the summer, but Neymar silenced them by scoring a wonder goal in his first game of the season to grab all 3 points for PSG. That was the beginning of a truly special campaign. That season, Neymar helped PSG complete the domestic treble again. But more importantly, he carried them to their first ever Champions League final. And when we say he carried them, we mean it. He had at least 1 goal contribution in every knockout game leading to the final. PSG were almost out against Atalanta in the quarter-final, but he went into beast mode in the last moments and inspired a comeback, creating both goals in additional time. He also provided an assist in the semis against Leipzig, helping PSG book a ticket to the final for the first time. but sadly they ended up losing to Bayern Munich 1-0. He was so close to the prize, and it hurt so much. But Neymar didn't stop going. The following season, he went harder. He became the first player in Champions League and European Cup history to score 20 goals for 2 different clubs. Yes, he did it before Cristiano Ronaldo. He then helped PSG reach the semi-finals of the Champions League, where they were eventually knocked out by Manchester City. That same year, he carried Brazil to the final of the Copa America with 5 goal contributions in 5 appearances. And in the final against Argentina, he was phenomenal, completing 9 dribbles and creating 4 chances. But it was just not to be, as Brazil ended up losing 1-0, with Messi winning his first ever international trophy. Speaking of Messi, he would then join Neymar at PSG in 2021, but it wasn't as magical as when they were together at Barcelona. At this point, people said Neymar was finished. But in the 2022-23 season, he proved that he wasn't. He started the season most brilliantly and was easily one of the best players in the world at that point. In August alone, he registered 13 goal contributions in 5 games. He was on fire. By November, when the league went on a break ahead of the 2022 World Cup, he already had 25 goal contributions. And he was already being touted as a frontrunner for the Ballon d'Or. Although he got knocked out in the quarterfinal of the World Cup, his insane solo goal against Croatia made people insist he was still in the conversation and was still one of the best players in the world. But sadly, he picked up an ankle injury in February, which effectively put an end to his season. And that right there was the theme of Neymar's entire career. There was never any doubt that the talent was there. In his prime, he was a force to be reckoned with and truly one of the best players on the planet, but he was just unlucky with injuries. When you thought Neymar was about to have the season of his life, he would get struck with one injury or another. And because of how important he is, his team always got affected by his absence. Watching Neymar when he was a kid, you could just tell that it was his destiny to win a few Ballon d'Or awards and become the outright best player in the world, but it just never happened for him. And the truth is that he had all it took. Prime Neymar was just so complete. He could score, create, dribble, carry, and most of all, he was a proper showman. Neymar's the kind of guy you pay good money to go watch because you know he's always going to entertain you. He inspired an entire generation of footballers, with players like Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, Rodrigo, William Estevo, Marcus Rashford, and Jamal Musiala all saying they grew up idolizing Neymar. He never won a Ballon d'Or, but that right there is Neymar's legacy, and nobody can ever take that away from him. As it is, Neymar will go down as one of the greatest players in football history. Already, he's Brazil's all-time top scorer, and he sits in the top 10 for most assists in Champions League history, with the best assist-to-game ratio of the lot. He's also one of the top 20 all-time Champions League scorers, and is the highest-scoring Brazilian in the competition's history. And there's more. He's one of the top 20 highest goal scorers in Barcelona's history, the top 4 in PSG's history, and the all-time top scorer in Santos' history. So technically, he's a legend at 3 different clubs. Let's face it guys, this right here is one of the greatest footballers we've ever seen. And if he wasn't plagued by injuries, he surely would have conquered the world in ways one could never imagine. But for you, where does Neymar rank among the all-time greats? Would you put him above the likes of Ronaldinho, Kaká, or does his lack of a Ballon d'Or deny him that? Tell us what you think in the comments. But wait a minute, what if we told you that Barcelona did not peak when they had Neymar? Do you want to know when Barcelona were truly in their prime? Click on this video and we'll tell you all about prime Barcelona and how good they truly were.